No one wants to talk about this, especially not openly. When people reach old age, society becomes polite, careful, and silent. Out of respect, fear, or guilt, many uncomfortable behaviors are ignored rather than addressed. Yet these habits slowly push people away, strain relationships, and create loneliness that no one explains honestly. This is not about blaming or shaming the elderly. It is about awareness. Because growing older does not mean growing unaware. These habits develop quietly over time, and most people never realize how deeply they affect the people around them. Understanding them is not an attack. It is a form of wisdom that protects dignity, connection, and respect in later years. One of the most uncomfortable habits is constant negativity. Over time, some elderly people begin to focus only on what is wrong. Every conversation turns into a complaint about health, the past, the world, or younger generations. While pain and loss are real, constant negativity drains the people around them. Family members may start avoiding conversations because they feel emotionally exhausted afterward. What begins as sharing slowly turns into emotional weight that others struggle to carry. Another habit that makes people uncomfortable is repeating the same stories again and again without awareness. Memories are precious, but when the same story is told multiple times in a single conversation, listeners may feel trapped or impatient. Often they smile politely, but inside they feel disconnected. This repetition is not always about memory loss. Sometimes it is about feeling unheard or needing validation. Still, it can create distance if not recognized gently. A third habit is blunt or harsh honesty. With age, some people stop filtering their words. They speak whatever comes to mind, believing that honesty excuses hurtful comments. Criticizing appearance, lifestyle choices, parenting, or personal decisions can make others uncomfortable, even when no harm is intended. What feels like truth to one person can feel like judgment to another. Over time, people may limit visits to avoid being criticized. Another uncomfortable habit is refusing to adapt to change. Society evolves, technology advances, and social norms shift. When an elderly person openly rejects everything new and constantly compares it negatively to the past, conversations become tense. Younger people may feel dismissed or disrespected. This rigid mindset can create a wall between generations, even within families. Personal hygiene neglect is another sensitive but real issue. Sometimes due to depression, physical difficulty, or loss of motivation, grooming habits decline. Others may notice body odor, dirty clothes, or poor oral hygiene but feel too uncomfortable to say anything. This often leads to avoidance rather than support, deepening isolation for the elderly person involved. Another habit that quietly pushes people away is dominating conversations. Some elderly people talk continuously without noticing social cues. They interrupt, redirect every topic back to themselves, or speak at length without pause. This can make others feel invisible. Over time, conversations stop feeling mutual and start feeling one-sided, causing people to emotionally withdraw. Victim mentality is another behavior that creates discomfort. When someone constantly presents themselves as wronged by everyone and everything, it becomes hard for others to respond. Accountability disappears, and every problem is blamed on someone else. While past injustices may be real, living permanently in victimhood prevents growth and pushes people away emotionally. Some elderly people develop strong resistance to advice or help, even when they clearly need it. They reject suggestions automatically, not because they are unhelpful, but because accepting help feels like losing control. This resistance creates tension, especially for caregivers and family members who are trying to support them. Over time, frustration replaces patience. Another habit is using guilt as a tool. Statements meant to control through emotional pressure can make loved ones deeply uncomfortable. Comments about sacrifice, loneliness, or obligation may not be intentional manipulation, but they still affect relationships. Guilt-driven communication damages trust and creates resentment rather than closeness. Living excessively in the past is another habit that limits connection. Sharing memories is healthy, but when the present is constantly dismissed and the past is glorified, it can make conversations feel stuck. Younger people may feel that nothing they do measures up, and the elderly person may miss opportunities for new joy and connection. Some elderly individuals become overly suspicious or mistrustful. They assume bad intentions, question motives, or believe others are trying to take advantage of them. This constant suspicion creates emotional distance and makes interactions tense. Trust is essential for healthy relationships at any age. Another uncomfortable habit is emotional withdrawal. Some elderly people shut down emotionally, responding with short answers or indifference. This often develops as a defense against loss or disappointment. While understandable, it can make loved ones feel rejected or helpless, unsure how to reconnect. Refusing responsibility for one's own behavior is another habit that strains relationships. Blaming age for rudeness or poor behavior prevents self-reflection. Aging explains challenges, but it does not remove responsibility for how one treats others. Complaining without wanting solutions is another pattern that makes people uncomfortable. Loved ones may offer help or suggestions, only to be dismissed every time. Eventually, they stop trying. Conversations become heavy rather than supportive. Finally, the habit that hurts the most is refusing to acknowledge the impact of one's behavior. When an elderly person dismisses feedback or becomes defensive, it shuts down communication completely. Others may remain silent, but emotional distance grows. None of these habits mean someone is bad or unworthy of love. They are often responses to loss, fear, pain, or feeling invisible in a changing world. But awareness is powerful. Aging does not mean losing the ability to grow. In fact, wisdom is meant to deepen with time. The most respected elders are not those without flaws, but those who remain self-aware, adaptable, and emotionally open. Small changes in habits can rebuild connection, restore respect, and reduce loneliness. Old age does not push people away by default. Unaddressed habits do. Growing older is not just about surviving longer. It is about staying human, connected, and emotionally present. And sometimes, the most powerful wisdom comes from being willing to hear the truths no one feels comfortable saying out loud.